control. Breach in 5, 4, 3.
What's up, guys? I'm Uncle Freedom, coming to you on another glorious and well-deserved day off. And much in the vein of all the great new videos I've been putting out, I appreciate you guys' support. Today, we're going to take a look at something that's been asked for, and that is some uncomfortable truths about bugging in. So if that sounds fun and interesting to you, go ahead and like, subscribe, tell a friend, share the videos. The channel is growing. We are over 10,000 subscribers. That is freaking amazing. My next big goal is to see if we can get this guy up to like 25,000, and then we'll go from there. I am super excited. If you need to get in touch with me, you can find me at Uncle Freedom 213 on Facebook or Instagram, or Uncle Freedom 213 at outlook.com. As always, take a look on the Facebook and Instagram page at my Linktree account. It will take you to my Linktree where there are affiliates of the channel, people like Gun Mag Warehouse, Dry Fire Mag, Dark Angel Medical, that can help you out with some of these things that we need going forward. I'm looking forward to it. I got a lot of cool stuff on the way to bring you guys. But first, we're going to take a look at the first installment of Uncomfortable Truths of Bugging In. So, first and foremost, number one, your security is not good enough. You have blind spots, approaches you haven't considered, and it's just not up to par. You may think you've got this figured out, and I talk about a lot of things in my 13 tips for home defense video. I'll leave a card up here. It's an older video. The audio quality is not as good, but you looked at it and you decided that this would work and that you could do these things. But if you actually get back and look at the situation, if you've ever looked at this and said, if somebody ever got in here though, I'd be screwed. You have holes if you haven't adjusted to that yet. So your security is not as good as you think it is. Bar none, it's not. You can always improve there. Number two, you do not have enough diversity in your food stores. I see this a lot from preppers that have like crap loads of beans and rice and stuff in Mylar bags, or they have a whole buttload of dehydrated meal stuff. I love rice and beans. I'm a Southern guy, so eating like red beans and rice is kind of normal to me, but you have to have diversity, because even though I love eating that, I don't want to eat it for a year straight. Eventually, you will find a hole that you cannot fill with what you've got on hand, and it will lead to things that could be really detrimental, like scurvy, diarrhea, causing you some serious health issues. You could find yourself weak. You have holes in your food. If you looked at your food, if you've got your stuff stocked like you would if you were going to the grocery store, you may be okay. But if you've got stuff that you don't have because you deemed it not necessary, odds are that's going to come back to bite you. So you do not have enough diversity in your foods. I know I don't. Number three, somebody, if not way too many somebodies, know about what you have. Now, this goes back to uncomfortable truths of prepping, and that was loose lips sink ships. Shut up. It's true. Like and there's a weird dichotomy to this that we're going to talk about on the next point. But people knowing what you have, I get it. You're proud. You're prepped. You're prepared. You have all of these things that you've spent tons of money on, and you wanted to tell people about it. Here's the problem. They didn't do it because they thought you were crazy. Whose house do you think they're going to come to and try to get stuff from? It's a fact of life. We see it all the time. We see it today's society. How many people don't have something and they have to borrow it from their neighbor? It happens. Also, I know you thought you were being super high speed and like stealthy about everything, but they noticed you putting that stuff in. People are nosy, and by nature pay attention to the people around them. They've probably more than once watched you hauling stuff in and out of the house, or bringing guns in and out to go to the range or whatever, and been like, that guy's fucking weird, right? They've done that. And guess what? They know. It may not dawn on them that they know, But when the balloon goes up, they're going to remember, and they're going to come try to get to you. So that's it. Somebody, if not too many somebodies, know about what you have. And here's the problem with that, and that is point number 4, and that is that you cannot do this on your own. You have to have a group of people. And that's hard to do. One of the most common questions I get from people is, how do I approach and find other people that are like me? That's like the great hard part about what we do, because you don't want to, basically have diarrhea of the mouth telling people all about all these things you've done because you think they're a kindred spirit. But you can find things, gun stores, tractor supply stores, farm equipment stores, getting and talking to people, overhearing conversations, and kind of testing the waters with like-minded ideals to see if they fall in line with yours is kind of a good way to start. But we can't do this alone. We have to have more people involved in what we do. And the vetting process of how you get these people attached to you is not going to be an easy task. I wish there was an ultimate answer, but there's not. But the sad truth of this is, even though we're bugged out at home, we bugged in at home, I can't do this alone. I have to have other people involved. Number 5, I have solar power. I'm good. I got solar power. Solar power is great, but it is absolutely not a permanent solution. Those battery banks that you have to have in order to make solar power a viable thing that works when the sun isn't out, that has a life cycle. And here's the crappy part about it. They have a life cycle. And even if we bought spares of that thing, they have the same life cycle. And if they're left uncharged or in stasis too long, they will go bad. They have a predicted life cycle, much the same way that our lithium-ion batteries last for 10 years. But if they're stored improperly over a long period of time, you may only get half of the power out of it. Same thing's going to happen with your batteries for your solar powered system. I agree, solar powered is a great thing, and it makes you much more self-reliant and self-sufficient, but you need to understand that that's not a permanent solution. And while it may work great, Murphy will show up, and the fact that you were supposed to replace your batteries next year will be the problem when it all goes wrong 2 months from now. Number 6, there is absolutely zero way that you have every base covered. And that's hard to believe, right? Like, we want to believe, I've really thought this out. There is zero chance that you've got it all dialed in. Absolutely zero chance. And the most dangerous thing that you can do as a prepared individual who plans on bugging in at home is making the mistake of lying to yourself and convincing yourself that you do have all of those bases covered. You need to be very honest, very blunt with yourself. I have holes here and I should probably fix this. Right now is the time. Don't do it tomorrow. Tomorrow is not guaranteed on any of this. Hell, 10 minutes from now, this video may not even go live. Who knows? You have to take care of things as they happen, as they become a problem. Make a list and stick to it. But you do not have every base covered. There is always a hole somewhere you have not thought about yet. Number 7. I'm guilty of this one. I know a lot of guys are, is you have really neglected comfort and items that represent normalcy in favor of cool gadgets or more guns or whatever your favorite poison is as far as that goes. We've all done this to some extent. Like, we really have. But there is absolutely, like, we all do it. And the thing is, if it's just you and your spouse or your best friend and you're both adults and you don't really need a lot, it's not a big issue. But let's think about it if you're a father like I am and you have children. Those things that represent normalcy and comfort to a kid are indispensable. I agree. We need them to toughen up because the world is going to be much different than the world we wanted them to experience. But as a parent, it's still your job to make their life as comfortable as you can. And if you neglected something as dumb as an extra stuffed animal for your kid to bring them comfort when things go wrong, you failed. We've all done it at some point. Fix it. Number 8, you do not have enough redundancy built into your preparations. Specifically, what I'm referring to here is not the fact that you have redundancies of all of your stuff in your home. I'm talking about, this is right back to the putting the eggs all in one basket kind of metaphor. If you have all of the food for 10 years and you will be fine if it never comes back online, if all of that stuff is in one centralized location, if anything goes wrong, you now have none of those things. Redundancy is only useful if it's kept in separate locations. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. Guys that I knew that lived in Alaska that kind of lived off the grid up there, they would have like their main storage here, but they would have a second, like, dugout cold storage, and a third that was secured in similar fashions in case their cabin caught on fire. They had the ability that they knew they wouldn't die because they had redundancy, not just in the product, but in the placements too. Big deal. Number 9, unless you live in an absolutely completely sealed underground bunker, you are far more vulnerable than you think. So, if we were to venture a guess that in the olden days of yore, before real electricity was a thing, one of the most common causes that left like people homeless was fire, because we cooked on open flame, we had wood burning stoves, we had oil lamps or candles, and people in today's society are dumb enough that they will fall asleep with a cigarette in their hand, forcing their house to burn down. You are vulnerable. A well-placed lightning strike could set your house on fire. Your solar panel array could start your house on fire. Wiring that you maybe didn't get totally right as you were trying to retrofit things into your house to run off of like your one solar panel or whatever to keep your fridge going could start your house on fire. Something as simple as your kid knocking over a candle at the wrong time could start your house on fire. You are not infallible. You are not 100% protected. You are absolutely vulnerable to something that small. So think about that. Move forward from it. You're going to be vulnerable. Figure out how to mitigate those as best you can and minimize your vulnerabilities. You will never eliminate vulnerabilities, but you can minimize them. Number 10. You have not placed enough emphasis on stealth. Now I know, right? I'm not gonna bug out, I'm bugging in. So I've been around a lot of natural disasters in my life. New Orleans after Katrina, Hurricane Opal hitting the Gulf Coast, Hurricane Andrew, tornadoes, thunderstorms, flooding. I've been around a lot of those places, and it was really, really obvious where people were because we can't see in the dark, which means we have lights on. And when there is no power and no light pollution, if you will, the dude down the street that's got his light on in his bedroom so that he can read, we can see that. Stealth. It exists. If things have gone badly, like really badly, because here's the deal. If you're bugging in on like a fucking excellent open area, sorry for my language, guys, but like an open area where there's nobody coming and going, it's all your land, you have plenty of views to everywhere, that's great. But for the vast majority of people, bugging in is taking place in their home, in their community. Communities will, and more than likely are always going to fall because people are going to come after it. So you being stealthy and making your home not a target is really important. So simple things like light discipline when there is no light. If people see it, much like today, if you are walking around with a flashlight in your house, somebody calls the police because there's somebody breaking into that house. Again, people are paying attention to it, whether you think they are or not. And if people become very hungry and they're running out of things in their own home, they are going to become finely attuned to the fact that there's always a light on in that house. You're not being stealthy enough, and you haven't thought of enough ways to mitigate that problem. Light discipline's a big deal. So on to 4 bonuses today in the first volume. Volume 2 is probably going to turn out much better than volume 1, because as I've done this, I've been like, holy crap, I want to put all these in one. But, I got to leave a little something for you on the volume 2. So, I don't know who needs to hear this out there. I'm super excited you got a generator. People can hear that. If you are now living in a world where there's not a lot of running vehicles, trains thundering by all the time, airplanes in the sky, and everybody's not constantly watching TV or listening to music at a volume that's too loud, you can hear that generator. And it will not take long for people to figure out where that generator is. And here's the fun part. Initially, they are not going to show up and ask you, like, oh my God, I need this. They'll ask you for something simple. If you have a fridge, can I please put my child's medication in your fridge? Well, when the kid gets hungry, now they're going to want to know what food you have too. I just need to charge my phone. Even though the damn thing doesn't work, I just need to charge my phone. That will become an issue. People will hear your generator. So you need to take whatever steps you can take so that your generator doesn't give you away. Generators are loud. They make lots of noise. Even in a remote environment, in a rural area where you really don't have neighbors. If you were moving as part of the Golden Horde trying to find a better, safer location because you've refugee, and evacuated your area, if I'm walking down a road in a place with absolutely zero sounds and I hear a motor running, I might turn off of my path to see if I can figure out where that's coming from, because that's a resource I don't have anymore. Food for thought. Bonus point number 2. If you are not already, you will soon be compromised. It's going to happen. Much like I told you that people pay attention to everything you see, and I just mentioned with light discipline and the fact that your generator makes noise, you will be compromised because there is absolutely zero chance that you never get noticed. It's just not going to happen. You'll eventually be compromised. How you deal with that situation, totally different ballgame. What's your plan? Because make no mistake about it, you need to have a plan. I have heard people make the statement that they would just give them this bag with like 2 bottles of water and like a thing of ramen noodles and be like, oh, that's all you're getting, get away. Do you really think that they're going to not come back? It's like if you feed a stray cat, what happens? The cat keeps coming back because you were dumb enough to give them food. Same thing applies here, right? If you're dumb enough when you get compromised to let on that you have a resource that they could need, maybe they just come back, or maybe they know somebody else. And they're like, I know these people got food. I'll tell you where it's at if you give me so much of it. That's a real thing, man. Like good people do bad things when their kids get hungry. I've said this in almost every single video I've done covering the subject of prepping. Good people do bad things when their kids get hungry. Selling you out, like I said in another one, for something as stupid as a pack of cigarettes is going to happen. If you're not compromised now and you don't even realize it yet, you will be shortly after. Bonus point number 3. Even though you have planned extensively to bug in to your little castle that you can defend, you still absolutely have to be 100% prepped and ready to bug out. There is no guarantee in this world, right? We're talking about a world without rule of law. Everything you knew to be normal has ceased to exist. Murphy still shows up here too, guys. Like, just because you put all your eggs in this, that I've got all this here, I am good to go. If you do not have bug out bags, a vehicle ready to go, a bike, whatever, a wheelbarrow, I don't care, and you're not ready to bail out, you will die as people take your stuff away. You have to be prepared and 100% built up to bug out when that happens. Non-negotiable. And number 4, in the first one. Bonus point number 4, last one I'll leave you with today, guys, is that boredom and complacency will be your demise. Sure, it's great, but you remember those comfort items I mentioned earlier? Maybe you're sick of reading The Client by John Grisham. You've always gone out to retrieve more water from your rainwater collection system. But today you're like, I've never seen anybody. I'm not taking my gun today. I'm not putting on my armor to walk out there. Screw this. I'm just gonna go. It'll take me. How many times we heard this? It'll only take me a couple of minutes. I'll be right back. Complacency. That will end you really fast. Being bored and trying to find something to do that's out of your normal routine will cause problems you didn't know about. It may break your stealth so somebody realizes, hey, holy crap, that house has got somebody in it. Maybe we should check that out. Being complacent, which everybody has a habit of doing when things have become normal and routine, we get complacent. If we are 6 months into a without rule of law situation and you've been thriving and surviving, but you've suddenly become complacent because you've gone to retrieve water 3 times a day for the last 6 months, well, today when you decided, it's never happened, it won't happen today, that's the day it's going to happen because Murphy says that's the day it's going to happen. Just how it works. So guys, there you go. First installment of the uncomfortable truths of bugging in. Stay tuned for volume 2, soon to come. Take a look at those bags of preparedness videos. Those are going to be fun. And we're going to dive down another series here, which I've been asked for numerous times, and that is a Minutemen kit. What should you have? Not just talking about you should have a rifle. What should you actually have? We'll break down what it actually means, kind of an overview, and then we'll go into every single thing as to kind of what I feel would be in there. But I'm always interested to hear you guys think. So guys, I am Uncle Freedom. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you later.